Right. You were seen as very close to the Gandhi family. There are people who've come on the podcast who say that among the few people they know, those who left the Congress and came to the BJP, that those who were in the Congress, they said of the people who could just walk in and chat with the Gandhi family, your name comes up right up there. You were very close to the siblings, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi. But what happened? Where did where did the relationship
See,
sour,
it's
personal and political?
it's not the issue of a relationship souring. It's the issue of an institution losing its moorings. Every institution, like every individual, has to have certain mission, values, principles, and goals. Every political party in India, I believe, certainly has its own. But when an institution starts losing its way, when an institution loses track with the reality of India, when an institution no longer is able to mold itself. So you have a group of vision, values, and morals, but then that constantly has to be molded along with what is happening in the environment. When that happens, then the process of decay sets in. On the other hand, you have a leader who is not only inspiring but is very committed to the cause of public service, committed to the cause of the idea of India, is unflinching in his resolve to cleanse the system, is very focused on delivery and execution, changing the perception of India within India itself and externally. And therefore, there's a great attraction and a magnetism that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his persona, exudes. And then when you have this wide chasm between, on the one hand, an institution that's unfortunately going into decay and is not willing to turn around, and on the other hand, you have a enigmatic personality, then of course one is attracted towards that if your cause is public service. If your cause is public service, then you have to make sure that you are able to effect that goal and that mission of yours. And so for me, it was a combination of this factor and, equally important, what was happening in my state. In 2018, we all thought that there was a track record that the BJP had, but we thought we could do way much better. And I was part of that.
The Congress party at this time. Yeah.
And I was part of that enterprise. And we did form a government. We produced tremendous results in Madhya Pradesh, and more specifically in my region. 126 out of the 34 seats there. And then we formed a government. The choice of who's going to lead that government, like in every political party, is with the leadership of that party. And I had no grouse with that. I have no grouse with it at all, even to this day. And I myself said that I will give my unflinching support. But over a period of time, when you see all the purposes of the establishment of the government fall by the wayside, and a complete system of rot and decay set in, and corruption set in, moving away from the ideals of development and progress. And when you raise that, and then you are put down and insulted, then certainly the cause of staying with an institution that you have fervently worked for is not, the fervor is not there anymore. And on the other side, there's a magnetism. And for me, so therefore, it was a no-brainer.
When you were made in charge of Uttar Pradesh, Western Uttar Pradesh, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yeah, in that election, anybody who was there covering that election could see your heart was not there in that campaign. You were there, of course, you were there with Rahul Gandhi wherever he was going, and there are visuals which are clearly there where he's performing some religious ceremony, and you're explaining to him right hand, left hand, what that means. It was literally you were there everywhere with him, but your heart was not there in that. There was one or two election campaigns which we saw where public rallies, your heart wasn't there. It had already started, I think,
You see,
disassociating.
I'll tell you what happens when you. My grandmother, my father, myself, we have been people and demonstrated by actions that are governed and driven not necessarily by our mind but by our heart. And I have always believed that your heart has to be in your job. If your heart is not there, then you're just doing something because you have to do it. That process had already started. And I don't want to delve too much in my past because my past is in my past. I made a very clean break. I was very upfront. I don't hold any grudges. I did not hold any grudges. And if you saw the letter that I wrote as well,
Yes.
I thanked the party for the opportunities and the time that I got to serve through the party. I also thanked, from the bottom of my heart, all the people that I served with. But it was time for me to move on.
But you didn't take the plunge on your own. You took people with you. You broke the party. You broke the government. The Operation Kamal was put into effect.
I don't think
by
there was any Operation Kamal or there was any operation at all.
a new government came into power. No?
Sure, but at that point of time when I decided that it's no longer going to work the way it is, again, people who are not necessarily only politically tied with me, but there was an emotional bond, decided that they will also walk with me. And mind you, and I'd like to make this very, very clear in this conversation with you, you have seen many cases in the history of politics of India where Smita Prakash ji has gone from X to Y and Jyotiraditya Sindhiya has gone from Y to Z. But there are very few cases where this has happened within 15 months of a government being formed. It's generally always the case that people move 4 months before an election or 6 months before an election. 15 months after a government has been formed, and that too after 15 years. And those who left with me, 25 of them, 6 of them were cabinet ministers in that government. And that just shows you the bankruptcy of that government. That let alone the fact that they could not hold on to their MLAs, they could not even hold on to their cabinet ministers. Which also shows the persecution that probably went on within that government. Versus not only the public at large, because there were many promises that were made that were being defied every single day that this government was in government in Madhya Pradesh, but also people were being persecuted. And therefore, at some point of time, people also decided to call it quits. And all of them, mind you, went back to the people. So the old system where I would move from X to Y and nothing would happen to me doesn't stand good anymore.
Because they had to
I have to
fight.
go back to the arena of the people and get elected again. And out of we had 29 by-elections, of which 28 seats were with the Congress. So 28 seats lay with the Congress party. The Congress party could retain only 9 of those seats.
But those who came with you, out of that, 6 have gone back to the Congress now.
No one's gone back. Not a single person has gone back.
22 came with you, and
Not a single person has gone back. So the people who have gone back there have been people who've gone back, and there have been people who've come from the Congress to the BJP.
Yeah.
It's been both ways. But again, that's why I'm so glad I made that point to you.
the floating population.
So where are we now?
Yeah.
We are 55 days away from an election. So that is bound to happen.
Okay.
During election period, I think more than me, you have seen many more elections than I have, right? And during an election period, there is always this Ayaram,
Yeah.
Gayaram policy.
True.
And again, let me in this conversation with you say that I hold no grudges. If you believe that you have have a better opportunity somewhere else, no longer with the BJP, and that is your decision, it is better for you to